Hey everybody, Romney Navarro, Streamline Funding here. Thanks for joining me. As you know, I am a Think Realty resident expert, and one of the things I wanted to talk about in my ongoing series of just content and information that I'm trying to give back to the community, to the people of Think Realty, is what is the cost of a partner in real estate? I'm excited about this one because we actually pulled some numbers together, and we saw exactly what the cost of a partner is in real estate. So I'm going to share that a little bit with you guys over the next few videos. It's going to be a little bit of a video series. Hopefully we could get it all done in about 3 of these, but I do think you'll be able to learn a lot, especially if you're new to the real estate industry. I'm not going to talk too much about finance. I'm not going to talk too much about fundraising. I'm going to talk about numbers, just very specific how you do a deal. Okay, so let's jump in and talk a little bit about, what are the ways to finance real estate? First and foremost, I had an old business partner that used to tell me, man, there's a million ways to skin a cat. And the same is true for real estate and real estate finance. How do you do a deal? There really is a million ways to do it. So I'm going to break it down into the 2 biggest chunks, okay? Today, not necessarily today, but right now we're going to talk about a couple of things. But one of the ways you finance real estate is all cash. Everybody knows what all cash means. Here's the thing, not everybody has all cash. So it's going to be a little bit of an all cash with an asterisk on it, because the asterisk is when you obtain a partner, okay? That's one way to finance real estate. The second way to finance real estate, that's going to be in another video, is financing. A bank loan, a private lender loan, something along the lines of a lender provided loan, okay? And then finally, we're going to break it down totally different and look at it, what if you just did it on your own, okay? If you just did it on your own, what does all that mean, and what does the true cost of a partner equal to in terms of dollars? Dollars as a cash deal, dollars as a finance deal, and dollars on your own. So that's what we're gonna be talking about over the course of the next few videos. Today, however, we're gonna break down the all cash. I've got my trusty little cheat sheet here because there's a lot of numbers on here. But the trusty little cheat sheet is going to show you a bunch of different things. Hopefully we're going to be able to put them on the screen here and talk about exactly what these look like. But the first one I want to break down is simple. It's all cash, okay? All cash, again, as I mentioned, it's a little bit of an asterisk. It's not just you write a big old check from your bank account. I'm talking about all cash if you were to go and obtain a partnership deal with somebody with cash on hand. You get an investor to do the investment for you, okay? The way that I look at all cash in this particular scenario is, what if an investor goes and finances the entire project for you? What does that look like? So we're going to break it down. Before I break it all down, I want to tell you this though. I'm going to follow a basic formula over the course of the next few videos. This basic formula is a simple renovation loan. Depending on what market you might be in, these numbers might not make sense. In my market, they don't make a ton of sense, but in markets that we service, say San Antonio and Houston, even some of the Atlanta deals that we're starting to look at, they make a lot of sense. But not every market do these numbers necessarily exist. But the numbers are second to the actual percentages, so just think of it as percentages. We're going to be looking at a sample fix and flip deal, super cool deal. If we were to get this one, we would fund it. But let me give you the baseline numbers that we're going to be breaking down over the course of the next few videos. There's going to be a purchase price of $250,000. There's going to be a renovation budget of $75,000. And then there's going to be what we call an after repair value. After you've done all the work and you've given the property a value lift, we're going to give it an after repair value of $400,000. Those are the basic numbers. We're going to build off of that over the course of the next few videos. It's going to be about 5 different scenarios that you're going to hear about. This first one, however, is a partner that is providing all the cash. So I talked about a purchase price and I talked about a renovation, $250 plus $75. Your total cost in this deal is $325,000. Make sense? $250 purchase, $75 construction or renovation, $325 total cost. We believe, right? We all believe we're going to sell this thing for $400,000. That's the after repair value. So fast forward all the way to the end. You've done all the work, okay? You've put in the sweat equity. You've put in you've got the contractors completed, you've put it on the market, you've sold it, now you're at the title company, and what happens? Well, you sell the property for $400,000, we all know that. Then you're gonna have to pay your closing costs. So what does that mean in terms, and I'm only gonna explain this on the first one, so we don't need to go into it at every single video, but closing costs are when you sell a property, you need to pay real estate commissions, title fees, all kinds of little fees that happen, even certain taxes that need to be paid at the time of selling a property. For the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to call closing costs 6%. So if you sell a house for $400,000, 6% of $400,000 is 24 grand, $24,000. What does that leave you with? That leaves you with $376,000 gross. You have a big old $376,000 check that the title company just gave over to you. What do you do with it? And this is where we're going to break down the cost of a partner. Okay? Well, remember, 250 plus 75, purchase plus renovation. All of that, every single penny of that was financed in this scenario by your partner. So you need to give that guy or gal their money back. In this case, at the title company, they give you this big old check, $376,000. Now you have to pay back your partner their $325. So you take your $376, you subtract your $325, and you're left with what we call a net or net distributable profits. This is a very important one because this is when we start splitting the baby. Net distributable profit of $51,000. So how do you pay a partner if they were to finance your entire investment? There's 100 million ways to skin a cat. This is one way to do it. This is a very common way to do it. Once you have a partner, and if they provide all of the capital to do the loan, or the deal, excuse me, it's very, very, very common, especially for early investors, people doing their first, second, third deals, flippers, if you will. Very common to just split the profits 50-50. So if you have $51,000, okay, that's what's left over after everybody got paid and everything worked. You're going to split that 50-50. It's $25,500 to your partner, $25,500 to you. Okay? So the cost of a partner in this particular scenario costs you approximately $25,000. It's okay. You didn't have to invest anything. They did. They took the financial risk and you took the operator risk. So that's what a deal looks like if it was a 50-50 split. I'm going to now move over to a slightly different look. I'm going to break it down a little quicker because you already know the baseline numbers. What if you paid that investor, that partner, if you will, instead of paying him 50-50, you took care of him a little bit differently? This is what I call a, all cash, of course, a pref or a preferred return with a split. The first one was just a split. That first thing that we talked about, 50-50, was just a split. This next scenario is going to be a preferred return with a split. And I'll break down preferred return for you at a high level. So we already know what the numbers are. You bought it for $250. You put $75 into it. Now you're going to sell it for $400. You sold it. You've got your closing costs. You have $376,000 left. You pay back your partner's money of $325. Remember, that was the initial investment. So you have $51,000. We're right back at the $51,000. But this time we're going to do it different. Okay, originally we looked at just a split. This time we're talking about a preferred return with a split. So what does that look like? Before you split any of that $51,000, consider paying your partner what's called a preferred return, meaning Mr. or Mrs. Investor. By the way, this is a very, very, very common way of doing a deal. Mr. or Mrs. Investor, before I take any profit, I would like to pay you a preferred return for taking the financial risk. So what does that mean? Let's assume for just a moment you agreed or you negotiated an 8% preferred return to your investor. All that means is you're going to give them 8% on their money before you take any profits. There's a lot of information on here, so I'm going to just kind of keep it very high level. There's $51,000 left to split. Okay? How about first we pay them 8% on their money? That equals to about $10,000 or $11,000. I'm going to call it $11,000 for this scenario. It's $10,833 to be specific. You subtract that $10,833 from the 51 grand, and now all of a sudden, oh, by the way, that $10,833 is your partner's cash. You give that back to them. That is their preferred return. That's what I call a pref. They collect that before you collect anything, before you split any profits. But now you've given the pref, you've paid the pref. Okay, now there's additional actual distributable profits on the table. And in this case, after you subtract the $10,800 from the $51,000, there's $40,000 left in profit. This is what you guys now split 50-50. So now you get $20,000 instead of in the original scenario where you got $25,000. However, you might have enticed or made the investor more comfortable, giving them the opportunity to know that they're going to get paid before any profit is realized. So there's two all cash ways of doing it with a partner. One, it's just an all cash 50-50 split. The other is all cash with an 8% pref and a 50-50 split. Guys, I know I said a lot. And specifically, I know I said a lot of numbers. Playing with these numbers on a computer is one thing. Listening to them, come out of somebody's mouth is a totally different thing. So let me just recap some of the things that I said, just to kind of bring it all full circle. We're talking about all cash being your partner's money. The first scenario, we talked about a 50-50 split. Remember that house, $400,000 ARV that you invested $325,000 into? After all bills are paid, you ended up with $51,000. Okay, this is all cash. You ended up with $51,000 net. If you do a 50-50 split, the first thing we spoke about, you get $25,000, $25,500, your investor gets $25,000, $25,500. So that's the first deal. Recapping the second deal, same exact economics, you end up at $51,000, but before you take any profit, very, very common, before you take any profit, you pay your investor what's called a preferred return. In our example, you paid him or her a preferred return of 8%, and that equates to $10,800, leaving a true net of $40,100 to be split amongst you and your partner, which of course puts you in a position of earning $20,000 in this deal. So the first deal, more profitable for you. The second deal, more profitable for them, but both are the ways you get real estate deals done. There's something kind of cool. This spreadsheet that we're working on has been cleaned up for the Think Realty audience. As a resident expert, we like to give. And one of the things we're doing is we're going to share this spreadsheet for you to click and plug in your numbers. So please, if you don't mind, or if you're interested, email resident expert at streamlinefunding.com. And we'll get you a copy of this so that you could play with the calculator however you want and see how this works. There are other things we're going to be looking at in this calculator as well, not just all cash, but that's the first video, all cash. Next time we visit, we're going to talk about finance structures. Finance structures are interesting because that's the world that I play in, but I'll tell you what, this is the way that real estate deals get done, especially for beginners, for new investors. So I do hope you guys get some value out of this. I'm always available to talk through these things, be it by email, by phone, even in person if I'm where you're at in your market, or if you're in mine. So I do appreciate your time. I look forward to the next one. Always a pleasure. Romney Navarro, Streamline Funding. Talk to you soon.